You ever feel like joy is a mystery, something that just hits you out of nowhere? It's like your brain has a secret code for happiness, and you're trying to crack it. But science says it's not magic. It's chemistry. Your brain releases chemicals that make you feel good, like serotonin and dopamine. But it's way more complicated than that. You think happiness is easy to fake? Think again. The brain is a master detective, and it can tell when you're faking it. Joy is real, and it's wired into your very being. And the best part? It's not just about feeling good. It's about feeling alive, connected, and in control of your own happiness. So, let's take a journey through the brain's hidden pathways and uncover how joy is created, moment by moment. So, what exactly are we talking about? Joy isn't just a feeling. It's a complex dance of chemicals and circuits in the brain. When you laugh, your brain releases dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, each playing a role in how you experience happiness. The brain's reward system is key. The nucleus accumbens, a small region deep inside, becomes activated when you experience something pleasurable. It's like a tiny engine of pleasure, firing off signals of satisfaction. But joy isn't just about dopamine. It also involves the prefrontal cortex, which helps you process meaning and context. When you feel joy, your brain is not only reacting, it's interpreting and storing the experience. Neurotransmitters like serotonin and oxytocin are also crucial. Serotonin helps regulate mood, while oxytocin fosters social bonding, both of which are essential for deep, lasting joy. So when we talk about joy, we're talking about more than just a happy moment. We're exploring how the brain creates, maintains, and even transforms happiness into something we remember and cherish. You're not just chasing happiness. You're trying to master your own brain's chemistry. Every time you smile, you're tweaking your neural pathways, creating a feedback loop that makes joy feel more natural over time. Your brain is constantly learning from your emotions. When you feel joy, it builds stronger connections between the reward centers and the parts of your brain that help you predict and control your environment. When you understand how joy works, you can start shaping your own habits of happiness. It's not just luck. It's a science you can learn to apply to your daily life. By caring about how your brain creates joy, you're not just improving your mood, you're improving your ability to navigate life's challenges with resilience and clarity. So, secretly, you're already investing in your most valuable asset, your mind. And that's something worth caring about. Let's rewind to the dawn of humanity. Early humans lived in a world of survival, where joy was rare but powerful. Their brains were wired for reward, with dopamine bursts tied to finding food, shelter, and safety. Basic, primal joys that kept them alive. As civilizations rose, so did our capacity for joy. The ancient Greeks gave it a name, eudaimonia, and linked it to a life well lived, filled with virtue and purpose. Their philosophers saw joy not just as a fleeting emotion, but as a state of flourishing. The Renaissance brought a new lens on joy. Artists like Da Vinci and Michelangelo captured it in their masterpieces. Joy as beauty, as light, as the human spirit reaching for the divine. It became a subject of study, of wonder, of deep emotional resonance. Then came the Enlightenment. Thinkers like Locke and Hume began to dissect joy scientifically, asking how it feels, how it's caused, and how it shapes the mind. This laid the groundwork for modern neuroscience, trying to map the brain's joy pathways. Fast forward to today, and we've mapped the brain's joy networks down to the neuron. Studies show that dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin work together to create the feeling of happiness, hardwired into our biology, shaped by evolution, and now studied with precision. So from firelight to fMRI scans, joy has always been at the core of the human experience. It's not just a feeling, it's a survival trait, a cultural force, and a biological miracle, all in one. Imagine your brain is like a happy robot. When you laugh, it lights up like a party. That's joy, and it's real science. Your brain makes happy chemicals, like tiny party confetti. They float around and make your heart feel light and good. your brain doesn't just feel joy, it remembers it too. That's why happy memories make you feel good even when you're not smiling. Joy isn't just a feeling, it's a brain party. And you're invited. Just laugh, smile, and let your brain have fun. Before any feeling of joy can take place, the brain needs a stable foundation. This begins with a balance of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which set the stage for emotional responses. The brain also relies on a steady supply of energy, mostly from glucose, which fuels all its electrical activity. Without enough fuel, even the simplest emotions can feel out of reach. The brain also needs a sense of routine. Predictability helps it conserve energy and stay in a stable state, ready to process and respond to emotions when they arise. Finally, the brain's emotional state is shaped by past experiences. A history of positive interactions helps it create a mental setup that's more receptive to joy. So, before joy can be felt, the brain has to be in the right place. It's not just about the moment, it's about the setup, the balance, and the readiness to experience happiness. Once the brain detects a positive stimulus, it sends signals through the reward pathway, starting with the ventral tegmental area. This region releases dopamine, a key neurotransmitter that signals pleasure and motivation. Dopamine then travels to the nucleus accumbens, a region deep in the brain's limbic system, where it amplifies the feeling of joy and reinforces the behavior that led to it. This dopamine release also triggers a cascade of neural activity, activating the prefrontal cortex, which helps us interpret and contextualize the joy we're feeling. The brain also releases serotonin and endorphins, which further enhance mood and create a sense of well-being that lingers long after the initial stimulus fades. Together, these chemical signals create the complex experience of joy, embedding it in our memory and making it feel both immediate and enduring. Now we reach the clever twist: the brain's ability to reframe and reinterpret experiences. This is where the magic happens, not through pure sensation, but through the lens of meaning. The prefrontal cortex, our brain's interpreter, assigns value to what we feel. It doesn't just register joy. It tells us why we're joyful, creating a feedback loop of emotional meaning. The brain doesn't just feel joy, it creates a narrative around it. This is how we remember and return to joy, even after the initial surge has faded. This clever twist is what makes joy not just a feeling, but a learned experience. It's how we build emotional resilience and find happiness in the ordinary. When we feel joy, the brain lights up in a symphony of activity. Neurons firing, chemicals flowing, and networks syncing. It's not just one region, it's a whole orchestra of happiness. Dopamine surges through the brain like a river breaking through a dam, flooding the reward centers and triggering that warm, euphoric feeling we all know. Meanwhile, the limbic system, the emotional core of the brain, reacts with a deep, primal sense of pleasure, connecting joy to memory and experience. And beneath it all, the brain's default mode network hums along, reflecting on the joy, storing it, and making it part of our sense of self. Joy isn't just an emotion. It's a complex, deeply rooted neural process, shaped by biology, experience, and the way our brains interpret the world. Imagine your brain is like a symphony orchestra, and joy is the final, triumphant movement. Every instrument, neurons, neurotransmitters, circuits, plays a role in creating that harmony. The conductor is dopamine, orchestrating the release of chemicals that signal pleasure and reward. It's not a single note, but a complex melody of feelings, memories, and anticipation. When the music hits the right chord, it's not just one person who feels it. It's the entire brain, dancing in sync to the rhythm of happiness. So, if you want to feel joy, think of your brain as an orchestra. Let the music play, let the melodies connect, and let the conductor, dopamine, guide you to the sweet final note. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. There is a strange comfort in the idea that happiness is a destination, not a journey. We chase it like a flame, hoping it will warm us once we reach it. But what if the myth of happiness is just another story we've told ourselves to explain the pain of being alive? A lie we've dressed in gold and called a promise. Happiness isn't a place. It's not a feeling that arrives fully formed. It's a quiet, persistent ache, the kind that lingers even after the storm has passed. So why do we still believe in the myth? Maybe because it's easier to believe in a myth than to live with the truth, that happiness is not something we find, but something we carry. Let's start by questioning the stories we've been told. Because if happiness is a myth, then maybe the real question is, what are we left with? We've been told happiness is a destination, a prize to be won. But what if it's not something we chase, but something we learn to live with? In every culture, there is a story about the perfect life. Wealth, power, love. But these stories often hide a deeper truth, the cost of chasing them. We confuse contentment with complacency, and peace with passivity. But true happiness is often found in the struggle, not the victory. The myths we carry shape how we feel, how we live, how we fail. But they also give us the language to name our pain and seek our way through it. Let's not dismiss the myths. Let's dissect them, question them, and find in them the seeds of understanding that might help us grow. There's a quiet desperation in believing happiness is something we chase, not something we are. We tell ourselves we'll find it if we just keep moving, but what if we've been looking in the wrong direction all along? Happiness isn't a destination. It's a rhythm we're meant to live. But the myths we've been told, that it's personal, that it's earned, that it's always there, have left us feeling like we're failing when we're not. We've been raised to believe that happiness is a reward for effort. But what if it's more like a companion? One we've pushed away by chasing it too hard. The truth is, we've been looking for something we already have. The myths we've been told about happiness are more than just stories. They're frameworks that shape how we see ourselves. And if we don't question them, we'll never know if they're leading us toward truth or tragedy. You should secretly care about this, because happiness isn't just a feeling. It's a mirror. And if we don't look at it honestly, we'll never see who we truly are. We used to believe happiness was a reward for virtue, a prize for the pure. But in the quiet of ancient temples, people sought it in silence, not in praise. Then came the philosophers, who turned it into a puzzle, a question to be solved, not a feeling to be found. They tried to measure it, but it slipped through their fingers. In the 19th century, happiness became a commodity, sold in books and advertised in newspapers. It was no longer sacred. It was marketable, and often it was fake. Today, we scroll for it, swipe for it, and buy it in apps. But the deeper we go, the more we realize that happiness was never something to be owned. It was always something to be felt. So perhaps the real myth isn't that happiness is impossible. It's that we've forgotten how to see it, how to listen for it, and how to let it live in the spaces between the noise. Happiness isn't a prize you earn. It's a feeling that shows up when you're not looking. People chase it like it's something to catch, but it's more like a song that plays when you're still. The myth is that happiness is a goal, but the truth is, it's just a part of life you notice when it's there. Maybe the real happiness isn't in being happy, but in knowing when you're not and still finding peace. We start with the belief that happiness is a destination. It's something we chase, something we reach, something we lose once we arrive. But the road is never ending. The more we move forward, the more we realize we've been walking in circles, chasing an illusion of arrival. But what if the struggle was never the point? What if the pain was just an ask for something deeper, something we've never named? The myth of happiness is a story we tell ourselves to make sense of the chaos, a story that hides more than it reveals. And so we begin again with the same questions, the same fears, the same silent longing for something we can never fully name. The second step is not about chasing a goal, but about letting go of the illusion that happiness is something to be found. It's the quiet moment when you realize you've been looking in the wrong place all along. It's the moment when you stop believing that happiness is a destination and start seeing it as a fleeting light in the dark. A light you can't reach, but you can feel. It works by teaching us to accept that we are not always in control of our emotions, that some days the light is simply not there, and that is okay. The mechanism is a cycle of release and reflection, a cycle that demands humility, and often a kind of grief, for the happiness we once thought we had, and the one we may never fully find. It's not a path, but a process, one that requires us to be still, to be present, and to be honest with ourselves about what we truly want, and what we are willing to let go of. We are told that happiness is something we can achieve through effort, like climbing a mountain. But the truth is, the mountain is already there, and we are already on it. The twist is that the destination is not the goal. The journey itself is the illusion of arrival. We chase happiness like it's a prize, when it's always been with us. Happiness is not a destination. It's a rhythm. The quiet moments between the noise, the breath before the next step, the pause in the chaos. We mistake the glow of the moment for the light of the soul. But the soul is not a thing to be found. It is the space where we are already lost and found. The clever twist is that we are never truly searching for happiness. We are simply learning to see it in the mirror of our own being. There's a quiet hum beneath our understanding of happiness, a science that hums in the background of every cultural myth we've ever been told. Neuroscience tells us that happiness isn't a destination, but a rhythm, fluctuating, fragile, and shaped by patterns we can't always see. We've built our myths on the illusion of control, that happiness is more like a tide, rising and falling, indifferent to our plans. The science doesn't promise us a magic formula, only a map, faded, incomplete, and always guiding us towards something deeper than joy. Perhaps the greatest myth is that happiness is something we can claim. It's not. It's something we can only feel, and even then, only sometimes. Happiness isn't a destination. It's a rhythm. You don't chase it, you move with it, like the tide, ebbing and flowing, yet always there. We mistake the calm after the storm for a victory. But it's just the pause before the next wave. There's no final shore, only the sea. Cultures teach us to seek happiness in grand gestures. But it's often found in the quiet, the mundane, the unspoken. Our myths paint happiness as a prize, but it's more like a song. You can't hold it, only feel it. And it only lasts if you let it. So maybe we should stop looking for the perfect moment and start embracing the imperfect one. After all, the real world is full of broken things, and that's where the beauty hides. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You wake up in the middle of the night, not because of a sound or a dream, but because something feels off. You can't quite put your finger on it, but there's a quiet ache in your chest, like you're missing a part of yourself. It's not loneliness exactly, but a kind of emptiness that lingers when the people who matter most aren't there. You think about them, not in a sad way, but in a way that feels like a missing limb, something you can quite feel without. You remember how it felt to be held, to be known, to be seen, not just in the way others look at you, but in the way they listen, the way they stay, the way they show up when the world is quiet. It's in those moments, when the world is still and the noise is gone, that you realize how much of your peace comes from the people who are with you, even when they're not speaking. And then you wonder, what if that peace is gone? What if the people who held you are no longer there, and the silence feels too loud? When we talk about relationships, we're not just talking about friends or family. We're talking about the invisible threads that connect us to others, holding us together when the world feels too heavy. These relationships are the quiet support systems that keep us grounded. The people who show up when we're falling apart and remind us we're not alone. They're the laughter shared over coffee, the tears cried in silence, and the moments where we're just being ourselves without fear of judgment. Relationships are the kind of love that doesn't demand anything in return. It just shows up, steady and true, like a heartbeat we can always count on. And when we lose that connection, whether it's through distance, conflict, or simply time, we often feel a kind of loneliness that no one else can quite understand. You might think you can handle everything on your own, but the truth is, no one is an island. When you're struggling, even if you don't say it out loud, your body remembers the warmth of a hug or the comfort of a familiar voice. Relationships aren't just about getting things from others. They're about being seen, heard, and held in a way that reminds you you're not alone in the storm. And that matters more than you realize. When you care about relationships, you're not just building a network. You're building a safety net. And that net can catch you when you're falling, even if you don't realize you're in danger. You don't have to be perfect or strong all the time. What you do need is someone who sees your brokenness and still chooses to stay. That's where real care lives. In the quiet moments, not the loud ones. So yes, you should secretly care about relationships. Not because they're always easy, but because they're the kind of thing that can hold you up when you're at your lowest. And that's something worth holding on to. In the ancient world, relationships were the foundation of survival. People relied on each other for food, shelter, and safety. The bonds we formed weren't just emotional. They were essential for life itself. As civilizations grew, so did the complexity of our relationships. Trade, war, and religion shaped the way we connected. But even in those early empires, the need for human connection remained constant. Through the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, relationships evolved with the rise of cities and the arts. Love, friendship, and family became more than just survival tools. They became sources of meaning and creativity. The Enlightenment brought new ideas about individuality and self. But even then, the human need for connection didn't fade. Relationships became a way to explore identity, challenge power, and find purpose. In the 20th century, technology changed how we connect. We could now reach across oceans in seconds. But the core of relationships, trust, care, and presence remained the same, even as the ways we express them changed. From cave paintings to smartphones, the way we connect has transformed. But the truth remains. Relationships have always been the thread that weaves our well-being together. They've carried us through time, and they will continue to do so. You know when you're playing with your toys and someone comes to sit with you? That's when you feel safe. You don't have to be alone. When you're with someone who cares, it's like having a warm blanket. You don't have to be brave all the time. You can just be you. Even when things are hard, someone being there helps you feel like it's not so heavy. You're not alone in the dark. When you have someone who loves you, it's like having a little light inside you. It doesn't always shine, but it's there when you need it most. That's what relationships do. They give you the courage to be you, and the comfort to be okay with being you. It all starts with a quiet moment, a pause between the noise of daily life. When we take a breath and notice the people around us, we begin to see how they shape our emotional world. Relationships are like roots beneath the surface, unseen yet vital. They hold us together when the world feels too heavy, and they give us the strength to stand when we feel like falling. It's not about grand gestures or perfect words. It's about showing up consistently, and showing up with a little bit of courage. That's where the real work begins. The setup is the foundation. It's the quiet act of choosing to be open, to be vulnerable, and to trust that someone else might just be there to catch you. When we feel seen, we stop trying to fix everything. We stop being the hero of our own story. We simply breathe, and the weight of the world feels lighter. This is where trust begins to shift. It's not about grand gestures or perfect words. It's about showing up, again and again, even when you're tired or unsure. This trust creates a safe space where we can be vulnerable, and vulnerability, when met with compassion, becomes the foundation for emotional healing. In this space, we learn to let go of the need to control everything. We learn to lean on others, and in doing so, we find a kind of freedom we didn't know we needed. The mechanism isn't just about words or actions. It's about showing up, being present, and allowing the other person to feel seen in a way they've never been seen before. So here's the clever twist. It's not just about having good people in your life. It's about how you choose to show up for them. The real magic happens when you let your guard down, even if just a little. This isn't about perfection. It's about showing up with an open heart, even when it's hard. Sometimes it's just a shared silence that speaks louder than words. This twist is about vulnerability, not weakness. It's about trusting that you don't have to have everything figured out to be worthy of love and support. And in that act of showing up, without pretense or performance, you begin to change. Not just for them, but for yourself. You start to believe that you, too, are enough. There is a quiet science to how we stay grounded. When we're with people who truly see us, our brains release oxytocin, that ancient hormone of connection. It's like a warm hand on your shoulder, but in the language of chemistry. This hormone isn't just about love, it's about survival. Our ancestors relied on trust and bonds to survive, and that biology still hums in us. It's why we feel safe in a good relationship, even when the world feels chaotic. Studies show that loneliness isn't just emotional, it's physical. It changes the structure of our brains, increases inflammation, and weakens our immune systems. It's not just a feeling, it's a silent wound. But when we're in connection, something shifts. Our heart rate slows, our stress hormones drop, and we feel a kind of calm that's not just mental. It's like the body finally gets the message that it's not alone. The science of relationships is not just about what we feel, it's about how we live. It's about the rhythm of being seen, of belonging, of being held in the quiet spaces where we can finally let our guard down. So, here's the thing. Relationships are like a garden. You water them, you tend to them, but sometimes you forget to check in, and before you know it, the weeds have taken over. You can't force a garden to bloom, but you can make space for it. And when you do, it surprises you with its beauty, even when it's not perfect. Sometimes the most beautiful things grow in the quietest places, like a friendship that's been there through the storms, or a family that just shows up, unannounced, with a plate of food and a hug. And if you ever feel like you're not watering your garden, remember, some of the best growth happens when you're not looking. You just have to trust the soil and the seasons. So let's stop pretending we're all alone in this. We're all just trying to grow, and sometimes we need each other to remember how to bloom. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You wake up on a cold, gray morning, the kind where the sky feels heavy and the air smells like possibility. You look at your phone, check the news, and realize the world isn't getting any easier. But somehow, you still feel like you're standing on the edge of something real. You think about all the things you've tried, jobs, relationships, goals, and realize they've left you feeling more lost than ever. But maybe that's not the end of the story. Maybe it's the beginning of something different. You're not looking for a quick fix. You're looking for something that feels real, something that lasts. And maybe, just maybe, it starts with asking the right questions. This isn't about happiness as a destination. It's about happiness as a journey. And this is where we begin. So what exactly are we talking about? It's not just about happiness as a fleeting feeling, but as a steady rhythm. Something we build, not just chase. Sustainable happiness isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, day after day, with intention, even when the path feels uncertain. This is not about escaping discomfort, but learning to sit with it, to grow through it, and to find meaning in the middle of it. Sustainable happiness is not a destination. It's a way of moving through life with curiosity, care, and a deepening sense of purpose. You think you're the only one who feels this way? You're not. Every person, in their own way, secretly wants to live a life that matters, that leaves something behind, that isn't just about surviving another day. It's not just about happiness. It's about meaning. And that meaning isn't something you find in a moment, but in the quiet consistency of choices that align with who you truly are. You might not realize it yet, but the path to lasting happiness isn't just about you. It's about the world you leave behind and the future you want to help shape. So when you feel that quiet pull towards something bigger, listen to it. It's not just a whisper. It's a call to build something real, something lasting, something that matters. Let's take a speed run through history. We've been chasing happiness for millennia, but often in the wrong ways. From the pyramids to the palaces, we built monuments not to remember the past, but to escape the present. In ancient Rome, people celebrated festivals and feasts, but their happiness was fleeting. They built colosseums to distract from the emptiness of existence, not to fill it. The Enlightenment shifted the focus. Philosophers like Rousseau and Voltaire argued for reason, self-determination, and personal freedom. Happiness was now a right, not a reward. Fast forward to today, and we've built entire industries around happiness. Self-help, therapy, productivity. But often, we're still chasing the wrong things. We're building the same pyramids in different shapes. So where do we go from here? Not to the past, but to the present. Not to the future, but to the now. Happiness isn't something to chase, it's something to cultivate. Happiness isn't about getting everything you want. It's about making sure you're doing things that make you feel good, even when things aren't perfect. You don't need a perfect life to be happy. You just need to take small steps every day that feel right for you. It's like building a tree house. You don't have to build the whole thing at once, just one plank at a time. When you focus on what you can control instead of what you can't, you start to feel more in charge of your own happiness. Happiness is like a seed. You plant it with care, water it with effort, and then you watch it grow over time. The best part? You don't have to rush it. Just keep showing up, one day at a time. It starts with a quiet moment, maybe in the morning, before the world wakes up. You sit in your room, the sunlight creeping through the curtains, and you take a deep breath. This is where the journey begins. Not with grand gestures, but with intention. You look around, not to judge, but to notice. What feels out of balance? What small things have you been ignoring? It's not about fixing everything at once, but about being present enough to see what needs attention. You begin by asking yourself a simple question. What do I want to feel more of? This is not a list of things you want to achieve, but a list of emotions and experiences you want to nurture in your daily life. You don't rush this. You write down one thing, Just one. What you want to feel more of. It could be peace, joy, connection, or purpose. This is your anchor, your starting point in the journey toward lasting happiness. This setup is not about perfection, but about being willing to begin. It's about creating a space, mental and physical, where you can return to, again and again, to check in with yourself and move forward. So, the first step is awareness, but that's just the beginning. Now we have to translate that awareness into something tangible. It's like planting a seed in the soil of your mind, knowing it needs time, care, and the right conditions to grow. This second step is about creating a rhythm. It's not about sudden transformation, but about building a consistent pattern of behavior that aligns with your values and your vision of a good life. These actions don't have to be grand, they just have to be consistent. The power of this step lies in the compounding effect of small, mindful choices over time. It's also about intention. Every action must be rooted in a sense of purpose. Not just for yourself, but for the world around you. Because lasting happiness isn't just about you. It's about the connections, the impact, and the shared journey. This second step is the bridge between knowing and doing. It turns insight into action, and action into habit. It's where the path begins to take shape. Not just for you, but for everything that follows. The clever twist is not about chasing happiness, but about learning to sit with discomfort. It's realizing that joy isn't a destination, but a rhythm that emerges when we stop trying to control everything. This twist is about embracing the paradox of happiness. It often comes after letting go. When we stop resisting the pain, we open the door to a deeper, more authentic peace that can't be forced. The clever twist is also about shifting perspective. Instead of seeing unhappiness as an enemy, we start to see it as a teacher. It has something to say, and sometimes it's the most important lesson. This step isn't about ignoring pain, but about transforming it. It's a kind of inner alchemy, turning what feels heavy into something that can carry us forward with more grace. So the clever twist is not a trick, but a shift in how we relate to our own experience. It's the quiet recognition that happiness is not about avoiding discomfort, but about growing through it. Beneath the surface of happiness, there is a quiet science. Neurochemical rhythms, emotional patterns, and the body's own feedback loops. Our brains are wired for connection, for meaning, for rest, and for purpose. Studies show that happiness isn't a fleeting emotion, but a state we cultivate through consistent, intentional actions, like gratitude, movement, and meaningful relationships. Our brains are not designed to run on constant stimulation. They need stillness, reflection, and the kind of rest that allows us to process and grow. The path to lasting happiness is not a straight line. It's a rhythm, a cycle of effort and release, of growth and grounding, of seeking and being. And in that rhythm, science and soul begin to align. Not perfectly, not always, but with enough consistency to feel like home. Imagine happiness as a garden. You water it, weed it, and care for it, but you can force it to bloom. Some days it's lush, some days it's sparse, and that's okay. The key isn't to control it, but to tend to it with patience. You can't rush a garden into bloom. You can't predict the weather, or the season, or the pests that might come. But you can show up, day after day, and let the process unfold on its own terms. We're so used to chasing happiness like it's something we can grab. But maybe the real magic is in showing up, even when the garden feels empty, even when the soil is dry. So let's stop looking for a perfect garden. Let's stop chasing the bloom. Let's just tend to what we have, with the same care we'd give a friend who's struggling to find their way. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.